So we're jumping back into Jarnail Singh's testimony, and he's saying the infamous Horizon bashing bandwagon email wasn't his fault. And Jason Beard does seem to be getting increasingly frustrated with the fact that he's saying, I didn't write the email, but I'm not sure who would. He does name Rob Wilson as having approved it, but when he's pinned to, well, did he dictate it as well? He says, well, I can't possibly say. And he's very obtuse about identifying different candidates for who could have dictated it, but he's just very clear on the fact that he thinks it would be at odds with his professional duties, and he wouldn't use language like jumping on the Horizon bashing bandwagon. Let's see what he has to say as we jump back into the inquiry.
Would you agree that the language that you used is quite breathless and rather emotive in describing the outcome of Mrs. Misra's case?
Yes.
Why did you use breathless and emotive language?
Well, I think the last bit is wrong completely. I accept that, the marker. But like I said to you, it was not my language. I would not write anything of that nature. All I would have done, you've seen the other formats. Mrs. Misra found guilty at Crown Court, the sentence, and that would have been it. But obviously, because this is of interest to the wider internal post office community, or the Royal Mail group as it was, I was put in a position to actually put my name to it, and that's exactly what I did. It wasn't.
So did somebody else type an email which you cut and pasted into this?
No.
Okay.
They dictated it.
Who dictated it?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's probably various people over the.
So a collection of people.
Probably, yes. And I think if.
So I mean, no, I'm struggling to buy this. If you're saying actually you didn't do it, and it's quite a significant thing, and you've studied the document so many times and you've had to think about it, if you're going to say it actually isn't your words, you need to be able to identify whose words it is then, because they are very powerful words. I mean, if I was to sum up the Horizon bashing bandwagon sentence another way, you could turn around and almost characterise as what it's really saying is, we're going to make an example out of this poor sub-post mistress here, in the hopes that nobody dares suggest that Horizon is at fault, when it is. It's almost like trying to put down a major warning to say we're coming under scrutiny, we don't like it, maybe because we know the system isn't robust, or maybe because we've not seen proof that it's robust, and therefore we need to make sure it's not in anyone's interest, maybe induce them into pleading guilty to lesser charges so that they don't bring up the allegations regarding Horizon.
It was approved by.
Who are the possible candidates for dictating your email?
It was this wording was approved by Rob Wilson, head of criminal law team. I would not ever send anything of that nature. You need to ask him as and when. But I can tell you now, this is not me. This is not the way I would have done it.
So you said that it was approved by him.
Yes.
Was he one of the dictators?
I don't know whether he did or not. To be honest with you, I'm not here to name names. I mean,
I think you just did.
But I did because
I asked you.
Yes, you asked me, and I'm here to assist and help. I'm not here.
Well, you are here to name names. That's exactly why you're here, because if you're saying it's not you, you need to say who it was, because it's a really significant piece of evidence. So I'm not accepting that. You know, you are here to name names if it's not you, because at the moment, the only name definitively on it from a person who wrote it is your own.
Here to, deny everything. I mean, like I said to you from the outset, what is the truth is the truth. And I can't get away from it.
Can we move on from the platitudes, please, and answer my questions?
Yes, come on.
Who dictated this email to you?
I think various people had input in it, but I certainly dictated it.
Who dictated it?
I dictated it for my typist to type out.
Who dictated it to you?
I don't know. I can't.
Who are the possible candidates?
Well, like I said to you, it was approved by the head of criminal law team. That's all.
So Rob Wilson?
Yes.
So he may have dictated this to you and then approved it when he'd seen it?
I don't know whether he dictated it, but he approved it.
And who are the other candidates for dictating it to you?
I think I don't know. I mean, I'm not getting away from it. Maybe it is my fault. Maybe I should say, no, I don't. I'm going to put my name to it. If you want to do it yourself. Maybe that's, in hindsight.
Is destroying the use of the word destroying to the criminal standard of proof appropriate language to have used?
No.
Given the reality was that this was a woman going to prison?
No. And I mean, to hear that she was sentenced to prison sort of hurt me quite badly. I mean,
That's not what this email conveys. And to be honest, he's saying, I'm not here to deny everything, but seems to actually be subsequently denying it. And to make it even worse, he's actually not even really naming anybody who might have dictated it. So at the moment, I think it stays with him. If he can't identify who did it, well, the only person who's identified in the evidence as having done it is him, Jarnail Singh. It's his name on the email. It's therefore his language. And if he doesn't agree with it, like he says now, and he didn't agree with it at the time, then I'm not so sure why he would agree to send it out in his name, because that is an implicit acceptance that you agree with the content if you're willing to send it out in your own name.
2 or 3 days, I think, it shook me. Because that's not...
Do you now recognise that the language that you used was unprofessional?
Yeah, wholeheartedly. No, nothing like that should ever be used.
Would you agree that the language discloses to us, it's indicative to us of a degraded and debased prosecutorial culture within your office?
No, I wouldn't. Mr. Mayor, it's your job to ask that, but it's not. No, I think I work with those people very closely. We find ourselves with here, and I agree with you. It's inappropriate.
The last paragraph where you say it's to be hoped that the case will set a marker to dissuade from jumping on the horizon bashing bandwagon. Who within the post office held that hope?
I mean, it does show a toxic culture, doesn't it? He might say absolutely not, and these were nice people. Well, I guess that's for other people to decide, but it shows a toxic culture of prosecution within the post office and within the criminal law team. Absolutely, there's no other conclusion you can come to. Whether he wrote this himself or somebody within that team dictated it to him or someone more senior dictated that to him. That was clearly the view of the post office at the time, and there's no getting away from the fact that the language is toxic.
Well, certainly not the criminal law team. Certainly I didn't. I mean, I wish I know.
No, I'm not asking who didn't hold it. I was asking you who did hold it.
Well, whoever dealt with the cases, I didn't even know that civil litigation had had cases starting from the initiation of or the introduction of the Horizon system. And presumably, the civil litigation department certainly, maybe the communication team. Those are the people whoever dealt with the Horizon, whoever had any connections with the Horizon. I mean, certainly, the criminal law team, I can put hand on heart. I wouldn't have thought anybody had that. I mean, you've heard evidence from, a couple of the lawyers working there, and they were quite badly shaken. I think one of the ladies, I've forgotten her name now.
If you were all badly shaken, then why were you doing it? I mean, again, a communication team is designed to communicate out what the business wants communicating out. I can't see the communication team, in effect a marketing type team, if you like, dictating to, for example, the legal team how they characterise their cases, because they won't have the qualifications to do that in the first place.
Teresa, I mean... You saw her give evidence. I mean, she was in tears. She was really broken by...
So who did hope that the Seema Misra case would be a marker that would dissuade other defendants from jumping on the Horizon bashing bandwagon?
Mr.
It was you. You hoped it.
No.
That's why you said it is to be hoped.
Come on. No. Absolutely no. You can ask me that 10 times. The answer is going to be no, no, and no.
Well, of course. That's why you folded your arms and are giggling.
Well, I'm not giggling. I'm sort of hurt inside. It's giggling because it's not true. I'm not giggling at all. I mean, the idea is that making that sort of allegation to somebody who does not even believe in it. I mean, the reason why I think I was there such a long time, and if I had to go to court and actually physically see these people, then I wouldn't be able to do the job. I think I would have left a long time ago. At the end of the day, this is a paper exercise. You had the investigation file, and you dealt with the paper. You basically weigh up whether there's evidence, sufficient evidence for getting a realistic process of conviction, public interest, a lot of the time you're trying to look for a reason for them to deal with it in an alternative way out of court.
No, because otherwise you could easily do that by suggesting that the case isn't brought. I'm really struggling to buy that at all. But, to characterise what he's just said there in the way I could in these prosecutions, because I didn't have to face these people in court, as in I couldn't face the actual people whose lives I was destroying based on false allegations, or certainly what we know now to be false allegations. And if I had to do that, I wouldn't have been able to do my job.
Singh, do you now accept that the aspiration that's disclosed in this email of dissuading sub-postmasters who believed that there were system faults with Horizon from raising such system faults when they were accused of criminal offences was entirely at odds with your professional duties?
Well, look, in hindsight, you can say all sorts of things.
I'm saying that, and I'm asking you the question.
Well, I don't know. What are you asking me to? What are you asking me? Please ask me.
Do you accept now that writing this aspiration, the hope that the outcome of the case will dissuade other sub-postmasters who might think that Horizon is to blame for their losses from raising that when they're accused of criminal offences is at odds with your professional duties?
Of course it is. I mean, I wish...
How did you satisfy yourself that other sub-postmasters would be jumping on the Horizon bashing bandwagon?
I can't. I mean, like I said, this is the one and only case that's gone to trial. I didn't even realise that some of the cases have been started in more or less when the system was installed. So I don't know. I mean, in your position, you can write into all sorts of things, but certainly that's not my thinking at all. I wish, and the greatest wish I had was that this sort of case has been, challenged or in the courts a lot earlier. Year 2001, year 2002, 2003, so we wouldn't have to face this. It's just landed on my desk and I dealt with it, but certainly that's not my intentions at all. And I'm not smiling. I'm just sort of feeling so aggrieved that you're asking me this, because that's not the idea of it was a challenge to qualify as a lawyer, and the last thing I wanted to finish this off was something like that.